are paying attention to all these shootings we keep having, ain't you? So, the 120,000 shootings since 2010, less than 5% had severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia. But you want to blame all disabled people. Less than 5%. But you want to pretend like these are the majority. Just like when those sick pedophile fucks want to pretend like they're protecting their children. No, 80% of the time it's one or the other parent. Now Gloria, with her perfect world bullshit, we don't live in a perfect world. That's right, we don't. That's why we have these laws. People are not perfect. They do make mistakes. They do screw up. And sometimes their screw-ups get people fucking killed. Like Boulder Police Department. Meanwhile, here in Hood River, these pigs are pulling the same tactics. The same tactics that resulted in Tibor Hatay being killed. The same tactics that resulted in Sammy Leon Lawrence IV being assaulted by one of my predators. The same bullshit that got Demetrius Shankling murdered by two of my predators. Meanwhile, these predators are in law enforcement. Now, Gloria, she's made it pretty clear without actually stating that there's a conflict of interest, that because she's attached to the sheriff's office, she's not going to do nothing. Meanwhile, those officers themselves, there's apparently no conflict of interest. You can't get a victim's rights advocate unless you can get help. Meanwhile, that help is what you need the victim's rights advocate for. You're trying to turn in the crimes against you. The cops will not do their goddamn jobs. Why the fuck do you not understand that? Well, actually, she does. That perfect world thing that she was saying, that's just another puffball excuse to blow up my backside. That's kind of like when the people who look the other way want to say, oh, well, I'm not Jesus. That's another fucking cop-out, ain't it? Now, I could stay at Starbucks until 8. They're open that long. However, they got dispensaries in this state. I just so happened to be handed some money and told, hey, man, go to the dispensary. You could use it. I'm spending the money on what it's intended to be spent on. That doesn't mean it's going to do me any good. Now, through all this perfect world bullshit that Gloria was doing, none of these people are trying to coordinate or work with me. They're going out of their way to create situations where they don't have to. It's not their job. I don't want to support the killing of police officers nationwide. I don't want to do that, but I have to. I have to. These people are predatory towards the homeless. Whether the Nazis are good to you or not, they're still shitty to the Jews. And that means that every Jew has the right to fight back. Well, every homeless person and every disabled person should have the right to fight back, to defend themselves against your bias and the fact that you get away with murdering people by that bias, by cops not doing their jobs, by cops going out of their way to prevent you from having your rights. And all these people that I explained over and over again, hey, I need you to speak up. You guys tell me to do it all myself. All of these professionals, like Gloria, they know the system does not work. That's why she asked about friends or family. In specific, she asked about family. I don't have one. Does that make it okay to commit crimes against me? No, it puts me at even more risk. You guys keep telling me it's the government's job to do something about this. Really? Then make them do their fucking jobs. You've been paying them for 6 goddamn years to victimize the shit out of me and tell me it's nobody's goddamn job to do anything about it. Holy shit. Now, of course, with Gloria, she was nice, like a used car salesman. I looked her up before calling her. She got an award. You know who else got an award? Marcia Estrada. I wonder if they got awards for blowing off the disabled, or if they got awards for helping to frame them. I wonder, did they get those awards for doing their jobs as mandated reporters, or did they get those awards for covering up for the wrongdoing of others? Marcia Estrada, well, I cannot prove decisively whether or not she coordinated with Penny or if Penny's just a fucking bitch. I'd like to believe that it's the latter of the two, because obviously what Marcia Estrada told me, and Marcia Estrada is Penny Cooper's boss, it is Penny Cooper's job to do the things that she refused to do. Also, I've got the recordings with Marcia Estrada that show Highline workers. I used to run one of these. That one's a Highline, this one's a cherry picker. They're both very nice machines. Alright, my car is in the same place it was before. Has not been towed. Welcome to Hood River and all that. The thing is, when you're a homeless and disabled male, this is where it all gets complicated. It's nobody's job. Sure, if you're a woman, there might be some pressure for them to actually do their jobs. But obviously, I don't have a vagina. I'm not pretty and young, so it's magically okay to harm me. It's magically okay to look away from all of these crimes. And by preventing me from turning in these officers safely, I can't even get a victim's advocate. Fuck this goddamn country. And fuck everyone in it. I didn't make you idiots. I didn't make you cowards. Sorry. Some of the stones here are discolored and oddly shaped. Leads me to believe there might be some dinosaur bones in there. Woo! And based on the fact that it's volcanic flows and many of these animals that would have been roaming on this mountain millions of years ago, well, if they got trapped between some lava flows, it very well could have buried them easily. There's a couple of spots in this formation here, not exactly in this part. I mean, sure, there's stuff that doesn't quite fit in. You can see where different flows actually went into each other. This rock right here is pretty rounded. It's got a lot of porous stuff in it. But you can see here, this one right here, this rock here is completely different. It's got a different shape to it. It's got a different texture, and you can see how it goes further into it. That's potentially Possibly part of a femur, maybe. Or it might just be a different type of rock that got buried. You never know. Discolorations like this right here. This is probably an old lichen, but it's weird that they've got all of that pockmarking in it, like something is eating into the rock. Very strange. I mean, obviously it's air bubbles, but as we look through it, there's a lot of different ones that do look like bits and pieces. Now, mind you, most of this, if there were bones in it, the bones were eroded and fell apart and created a cavity, and then that cavity was later filled in when a lot of water actually filtered through and deposited nutrients in it. So you can actually find dinosaur bones that are made out of quartz. Isn't that strange? There's even in one of the stores in Colorado, there's a dinosaur bone geode. Ooh. Well, we can go up there closer and check them out at a later date, I suppose, because I really want to do something with that as far as going through it with a fine-tooth comb and seeing what's up, obviously. The main piece that I want to look at, though, is actually further down. I'm not seeing it. Well, it kind of looks like it could possibly be the side of a dinosaur skull, but I'll have to come through and check it out at a later date. I do want to get to the dispensary before they close, and I want to keep my word to spend the money on what I said I would. Dan Favorite sent me some money to help me out, and I ended up spending that money to go rescue Desiree from that trap house in Wyoming. Kevin McGregor, I believe is the guy's name. He lives across the street from the Camilla shelter there in Cheyenne. Now, before I did that, I did get a hold of Dan Favorite and let him know that was my plan and wanted to know if that was okay with him. He said it was all right. So that's what I did. There's a lot of people who want to go out of their way to use situations they know nothing about as their excuse for being shitty to me. Like that guy Andre Gagasian. Andre Gagasian got on a YouTube channel from a guy, I think it's called Maddox Motors, and the guy works with Pulse Jets. Well, this guy wanted me to basically send him my Pulse Jets so that he could use them to kill people. Now, that wasn't originally what he had said. Originally, he just really liked my engine design. But then he had his own ideas about it that were completely wrong because of his misunderstandings of the situation and the mechanics of it. Now, that's neither here nor there. The fact is, he sent me money to build this engine and to get the tools necessary, and I did not build his engine. Why didn't I? Well, it's because he wanted to use it to kill people. Matter of fact, he wanted to basically try to sugarcoat it and butter me up by saying that the people that he was going to try to kill with my engine attached to something. Well, he had this idea in his head that because I'm of Hebrew descent, that because these people are friends with Israel, that magically that obligates me to arm them. No, it doesn't. It fucking doesn't. So Andre Gagasian, of course, I did get a hold of the New York Times as well as the law enforcement in New Jersey via email. They never responded. I did let them know about Andre Gagasian and about how he wanted to use my engine to kill people in Azerbaijan. Now, one of the things about this is the guy was nice about it. After I'd spent the money that he sent me on what I said I would spend it on, that's when he let me know that he wanted to use it to kill people. He also let me know that he wouldn't hold it against me or hold it over my head if I decided not to make it. And that, of course, he wasn't going to ask for the money or the materials back, which is good, because most of it got fucking stolen. Thank goodness. For what? For busting my ass? Yeah. Perfect world and all that. Well, you know, telling me that we don't live in a perfect world, I fucking know that. That's why we have these laws. You need to observe them. When it comes to actually homegrown terrorists like Andre Gagasian, it's not that I'm not trying, it's that you're not listening. Meanwhile, I got a recording with him on my YouTube channel, as well as having the messages between us on YouTube and the messages between us in my emails. So I've got the evidence to actually have this guy arrested on homegrown terrorism. Hello. God, that makes me sick. A lady rode by on her bike, and she smiled, and she was pleasant. She was wearing biker shorts, and I can see the stripes across the top of her legs. She's a deep cutter. I mean, she's been through some pretty severe shit, and nobody would listen. Nobody would listen when she cut herself with a lady bic. Scraped herself. Nobody listened to her when she advanced further and started full-on slicing. And eventually she got to the point where she started deep cutting on her upper legs. How do I know this? Because it's standard. It's common. Those of us who grew up in the system know this. We're aware we don't live in a perfect world. Of course it's not a perfect world. That's why we have laws. But when you don't observe the laws, or there are no teeth to the laws, well, that's where we encounter our problems. It's nobody's job. You got to hear Gloria talking about her situation. Well, mostly the fact that she works for the sheriff's department. So, how is it that, and that's the funny thing about the DA. Does she work for the DA or does she work for the sheriff's department? Because if she works for the DA, it's a conflict of interest for her to be working with the sheriff's department like that. She either works for the DA or the sheriff's department. They are two separate entities. They are two separate entities for a reason. It's because of checks and balances. If there's an issue with one, you need to be able to go to the other. The fact that I have to go to my predators and convince them to do their fucking jobs while they have plenty of incentive not to, being as they broke the law. So unless my predators are willing to basically turn themselves in, I don't get a victim's rights advocate, and people can do whatever they want to me. That's not going to stop me from speaking out for all the victims. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught, and remember, you are your brother's keeper.